cases that are related to foster care.
And did you hold that position back in 2015?
No, I was the county director for Henry County DFACS.
And as the county director for Henry County DFACS, what were your job duties?
I did the budget, the county's budget, stakeholders, worked with juvenile court judges, looked over CPS, child protective services, in foster care cases. I did everything pretty much related to the leadership aspect.
Did you have any direct contact with any of the kids that were involved in DFACS or with DFACS?
Not direct contact, no.
What about any of the foster parents? Did you have any direct contact with the foster parents?
Through Foster Parent Association, I would go sometimes quarterly to their Foster Parent Association meetings to hear their concerns. If it was caseworker concerns, invoices concerns, as far as them getting paid timely, that's pretty much my contact if they had complaints or concerns.
Did you carry a caseload at all?
No, ma'am.
And in regards to the case involving Millie Place and Laila Daniel, did you become involved at some point in time during the process or during the time period that they were dealing with defects?
Yes.
Okay. And how did you become involved?
Well, one time was, I'm not sure the time frame, she was placed, Millie was placed in a home where Miss Lambert, she's a foster parent, and we had received an investigation in regards to her having a black eye.
Do you recall when that was that investigation occurred?
Not a time specific, no.
With looking at some defects records, refresh your recollection as to that time period.
Yes.
Funny.
It would have been February 29th, 2016.
And were you aware of the death of Laila Daniel in 2015?
Yes.
So this complaint involving Miss Lambert would it have been after the death of Laila Daniel?
Yes.
Okay. And what is your recollection as to that particular investigation involving Miss Lambert in 2016?
That the child had sustained like a black eye. An investigation came in. The caseworker, Ms. Housley, went out and responded. We staffed it. That's where I became involved because it was a special investigation because it involved a foster child. They have to staff it with the county director prior to closure.
And what happens during the staffing of a case?
They review the investigation. We discuss any safety concerns, any validity, any facts to support the allegations, and their actions in the investigation, which they reached out to the pediatrician to get clarity from a medical professional if it was a black eye. And it was not determined that it was a black eye, and she was cleared medically, and we unsubstantiated the case.
What does it mean to unsubstantiate a case for defects?
That we don't find clear and sufficient supporting evidence to say that maltreatment occurred.
What happened once that case was staffed? What was the ultimate result of that staffing?
We unsubstantiated. The foster parent, Ms. Lambert, requested the child be removed from the home.
And what was your understanding? Why was the child removed from the home?
The foster parent stated that she didn't want to get involved with all the media. She just didn't want to get involved with all the chaos that was surrounding the media and the child at that time. She wanted to just be a foster parent and not get involved in anything like that.
Okay, all right. Any other time that you, prior to that incident, that you were involved in regards to the placement of Millie and Layla prior in 2015?
Repeat your question.
Let me ask you, did you ever receive any information in regards to placement involving Millie Place and Laila Daniel during the time period of 2015?
No, ma'am.
I'm going to show you what's being marked in State's Exhibit 139. Do you recognize State's 139?
Yes, ma'am.
And what is it?
It's an email from Mary Battle to myself, June 18th, 2015.
Okay. Do you recognize and remember that email conversation?
I do.
State would ask the State's Exhibit 139 be admitted into evidence. And what was the conversation in regards to that email that you received from Mary Evans Battle?
She basically wanted us to place the children in the home of the Rosenbaums, and was asking what's taking so long.
And what was your response to her as to the time frame?
That we have 30 days by policy to assess a family to determine for the home assessment, and to allow my staff to marijuana and a contractor to do their job.
After you received that email, what did you do, if anything, in regards to receiving that email?
I just asked Tamara and them, did they contract a home eval out? And she said yes, it's still in process. And I said, okay.
Let me ask you, did you know either Jennifer or Joseph Rosenbaum prior to receiving that email?
No, ma'am.
Have you ever had any contact with either one of the defendants?
No, ma'am.
And you spoke about there being a process for a home evaluation. Can you tell us what a home evaluation is?
A home evaluation is where the department, either we complete the home eval ourselves or we contract it out. And it goes through, we observe the resource home, the dwellings, to make sure there's sufficient bedding, sleeping quarters for the children. If they have sufficient income, they pass a fingerprint live scan, drug screen. We get references, 3 references. We do CPS check, 911 check for residents, 911. We basically assess their parental capacity to be a caregiver for the foster children.
And once that home assessment is done, are part of your duties as the director at that time to review all home evaluations?
Yes.
Okay. At any point, did you review the home evaluation involving the placement of Millie Place and Laila Daniel with the Rosenbaums?
No.
Okay. I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit number 141. Do you recognize that?
I've seen it after the fact.
And what is it?
It's a home evaluation for Millie and Layla on the Rosenbaums,
Okay.
Jennifer and Joseph.
A state would ask the State's Exhibit 140 be entered into evidence.
Is it in the middle again, please?
140.
Oh,
I may have misspoken, but it's 140. It's 140. I misspoke.
okay.
And you indicated, did you ever receive that home evaluation during the time period that it was in the process for approval?
No,
Was that home evaluation signed by someone?
it was signed, yes, by someone.
Who was it signed by?
Deshae Rice Clancy?
And was Ms. Clancy authorized to sign that home evaluation?
No,
So the home evaluation that was signed in this case, did it go through the proper process?
no.
Nothing further.
Cross.
Ms. Taylor, good morning. My name is Corinne Mull. I've got a couple of questions for you. With regards to this black eye on 22916, isn't it true that the complaint came from the child's biological mother?
I don't recall who the complaint came from, I'm sorry.
Okay. With regards to the actual investigation, they took the child to the hospital, correct? In early hours of the morning.
I'm not sure on that, I'm sorry. I just know that we followed up with the pediatrician.
Isn't it true that Ms. Lambert and Mr. Lambert asked that she be removed the next day?
I don't know if it's the next day, but they did ask that she be removed,
And
yes.
one of the reasons was the media, but another one of the reasons was because Mr. Lambert did not want to lose his job over a false or misleading accusation.
I don't recall him saying that
You
to
don't
me.
recall any?
I don't know that for sure.
And was there anything, you've reviewed this home evaluation, have you not? At any
I have
point?
not.
As during the course of these 4 years that we have been dealing with the Rosenbaum case, you have never looked at the home visit?
I looked at, it's called the home evaluation. I reviewed it after the fact, but it's been 4 years ago. I don't recall
And
like, the details of it, I'm sorry.
Okay, was there any indication that you do recall that the Rosenbaums would not have been approved or should not have been approved in this home study?
There was concerns. They did not, my staff, Tamara Warner, did not screen Miss Rosenbaum's maiden name. And had she been screened her maiden name, her foster care history would have come up, and I would not have approved her on that alone.
Let's go back and try and answer the question. With regards to this home study,
It's not completed correctly.
okay, what is not completed correctly about it?
Ms. Rosenbaum's maiden name was not screened. So what they submitted was her married name, and they did not do a background on her maiden name.
But with regards to the home visit, the house itself, was there anything wrong with the house?
Not to my knowledge, no, but it's more than a house now that we do approval for.
But your people did approve it, did they?
It's not approved because I didn't approve it.
You didn't approve it, but somebody approved it.
Who did not have the authority to approve?
What steps do you take to make sure that that doesn't happen?
That's an HR matter with DFACS. That goes over my head, and it's already been dealt with.
Thank you. Nothing further.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Objection, this witness being excused.
None for the state. None for the defense.
All right, and you are free to go. You're released from the facility.
State calls Tamara Warner Smith.
Tamara Warner Smith.
Please raise your right hand to be sworn. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you shall give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
You can put your hand down. Please state your true and correct name for the record.
Tamara Anita Smith.
And Ms. Smith, make sure I note that. Ms. Smith, what is your current employment?
I work with State Farm
And prior to working at State Farm, where did you work?
with the Department of Family and Children's Services.
When you worked with the Department of Family and Children's Services, did you have a different last name?
I did.
Okay. You've since gotten married, correct?
Absolutely.
All right. What years were you with the Department of Children and Family Services?
I originally started in 2007. I worked through 2010. I left to do some other things, and I came back in, I want to say 2013 or 2014.
When you came back in 2013 or 14, what county were you working in?
I was working in Henry County.
And what was your role?
I started as a case manager for foster care, and I was promoted to foster care supervisor.
In 2015, were you a foster care supervisor?
Yes.
And can you explain to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what that meant to be a foster care supervisor?
If you will give me a moment, I'm out of breath. I came up the steps.
That's okay. Take
I'm
your
sorry.
time.
The elevator wasn't moving.
Do you need some water or something?
Please. Ooh. Summer heat and pregnancy.
That's okay. Take your time.
So, being a supervisor, I was managing a unit. I can't remember how many at this time, but we oversee quite a few things. Just the day-to-day functioning, helping with the case managers, just a lot of managerial things. Just it's a number of things that we do.
Okay. Were you a supervisor for a person by the name of Samantha White?
Yes, I was.
And what was Samantha White's role at DFACS?
She's a foster care case manager.
And was she the foster care case manager for Laila Daniel and Millie Blaze's case?
Yes, she was.
What are the responsibilities for a case manager at DFACS, foster care case manager?
Following it's a lot of things too, but when we have custody of a child, of course, we try to meet the needs of every child that we have. We make sure they're safe in their placements, making contact with them, working towards unification with their families. And a lot of things fall under that umbrella.
Okay.
So,
Do they ever attend court hearings?
yes, we did have hearings.
Do they go to the home where the foster children are placed?
Yes.
How often do they go to the home?
At the time, it was required once a month.
And when they go to the home, about how long, usually, are those home visits?
I would say a minimum an hour. Should be.
Okay. When they go and do a home visit, what type of things should the case manager be doing at that home visit?
You want to first and foremost assess safety. So you want to make sure that the child is also doing well in the placement. You speak with the foster parent to see if there are any issues that have arrived. You look at their room. You look at where they're sleeping. Make sure they have enough clothes. Depending on age, you have to look at other things. You ask about school, if they're school age. It's just a number of things that you have to assess while you're there.
Okay. What about if a child is nonverbal, meaning they haven't started to talk, or at least talk very well? Are there any additional steps that need to be taken?
Absolutely. When a child is nonverbal, you want to see them undressed. Even if they're in a pamper, you want to make sure you change that pamper so that you can see that child fully unclothed every month.
And if a child is nonverbal, should the case manager be doing that at every visit?
Every home visit.
Do you remember from your time there about how large the average caseload was?
Henry County wasn't high that I can remember, but I don't remember the exact caseload at that time. It wasn't as high as when I worked in previous counties. So,
outside of that single monthly visit, could there be other visits that the case manager has with the foster parents?
yes, sometimes you would make visits if, say, for instance, they're involved in other activities, or if they have something at school if they're school age, you would see them there as well as in the home.
Now, Ms. White, what was her level of experience when you supervised her?
She was a very new case manager.
Did you have any complaints or concerns about her when you supervised her?
Yes.
And what were those?
It was follow-up, making sure that things were done when we would have a meeting and I would say, oh, this might need to be done. We would come back to the next meeting and some cases and things still were not done.
Can you give us an example of what you mean?
Sometimes children need services in the home. We have to make referrals out for them to get those services, for the people to come in and assess the kids.
What kind of services are we talking about here, for those of us who aren't as familiar with defects?
Okay. It just depends on the child again, but a lot of it is in-home therapy, play therapy for younger kids that are nonverbal. It helps us to find out other things if other things are going on that we might not be aware of.
And so one of your concerns was she didn't always have the best follow-up, correct?
Correct.
Now, when you supervised her, did you ever go out on home visits with her?
Initially, when I started, Samantha started around the same time when I started in Henry before I was promoted. So she actually went out with me as a case manager a couple of times on some visits. But when she was actually a worker, I can't recall going on a visit with her.
Did you ever go on a home visit with her to visit Layla or Millie?
No, I did not.
Now, speaking of Layla and Millie, do you recall the first time that you ever heard about these two children?
I don't, other than, they came into care.
Okay. Is it, as a supervisor, is it part of your job to know every single kid that's in the foster care system?
Yes and no.
Okay, explain that.
We kind of live through our case managers. So they kind of paint the story for us as to what's happening with the child, what's going on with them and their families. I might not always have direct contact with them as a supervisor.
Okay. Were you familiar with the reason why the children were in defects care?
At this time, I don't recall. I'm sorry, but
It's okay.
I don't remember.
I want to talk a little bit about the placement. Do you recall how the children ended up being placed with the Rosenbaums?
Yes, Samantha listed them as one of the people that were a fictive kin.
And what is a fictive kin? Tell us a little bit more about that.
So a fictive kin is not a blood relative. They're not foster parents, but they're someone that has a connection with the family. And you would typically get permission from the family to say, hey, this is someone that we know, and we would like for our kids to be placed here.
What about the screening process to place a child with fictive kin? Is it the same as a foster placement?
Foster homes are done differently. We had a person in the office that actually handled all of the foster homes. When we were doing relative placements, we would get what we call a relative assessment.
Okay. So what about the training or the classes that the fictive kin are supposed to go through? Are those the same, or were they the same at that time?
There are no class requirements for relatives.
What about
For fictive? There are no class requirements.
Now you said that the Miss Rosenbaum was treated as a fictive kin, and why was that to your recollection?
Samantha told me that this was someone her mom was placed in foster care with when she was in care, and that they were friends.
Okay. Now, do you recall a situation? Are you familiar with a person by the name of Patricia Lambert?
Yes, she was a foster parent.
And was there ever a situation where she voiced any concerns about the children?
Yes, there was.
And tell us about that.
Ms. Lambert came to the office, and I think Samantha was out on leave, and she stated that, and Ms. Lambert has a very heavy accent, but she stated that something was not right.
Okay.
And that's what she kept saying, but
I'll move on.
Correct.
When Miss Lambert came into the office, did she present you with anything?
there were some photos that were sent. They were also emailed, and it looked like scratches.
Okay. Now, at that time, did you have any concerns about the photos that she showed?
Well, what I did was, and I spoke with Miss Ebony Taylor, who was the administrator at the time. She actually saw the photos as well. It was a bunch of people that saw them. They asked for us to have Samantha to go out and follow up to see if there were any other concerns and to speak with Ms. Lambert in further detail.
Okay. And based upon all that, at that point, did you have any concerns about the photos that were shown?
No.
Now, regarding the placement, was there anything else that you received that, let's say, was out of the ordinary regarding how the children got placed with the Rosenbaums?
No.
Did you ever receive anything from any of the judges in this particular case?
Oh yeah. It was an email, but it was an email asking, when we were going to place and if we were not going to place, so to speak.
Okay.
And asking for a reason why we weren't.
Was that out of the ordinary?
That was my first time, having an email from a judge in reference to a placement.
Now, did you know Ms. Rosenbaum prior to the placement?
No, I did not.
Did you know Joseph Rosenbaum prior to the placement?
No, I did not.
Did you ever see Ms. Rosenbaum at any point through your work at defects?
No. Well, in passing, I'm sorry, at juvenile court.
Okay. Did you ever have any interactions with her at that point?
No.
All right. What about after Layla's death?
She came into the office, I want to say it was the morning after.
And did you recall anything about her demeanor that you remember?
It was somewhat of a blank stare when I saw her. That's all I can remember.
Okay. Did you have, from that point on, though, did you have any further role in the investigation?
No.
Now, let's talk a little bit about some protocol. If a child that's in foster care receives a broken bone, are there any sort of procedures that the case manager is supposed to follow?
Yes.
And what are those procedures?
To first notify your supervisor, also to make a referral to CPS to follow up and do further investigation.
And when you say CPS, what is that?
Okay, so foster care and there's Child Protective Services investigation. There's also the foster care spectrum. The CPS investigative team, they do more follow-up, more involved investigations for things that you might suspect to be abuse or to make sure that it's not abuse.
Okay. And so if there's is that standard protocol for any time if there's any significant injury?
Yes,
And would a broken bone fall within that spectrum?
most definitely.
Are you aware of any sort of report being made by Ms. White regarding any broken bones on Laila Daniel?
No,
Did she ever contact you directly about any broken bones from Laila Daniel?
no.
Ms. Smith, you're no longer with DFAS, correct?
That's correct.
And you were actually terminated as a result of this case, is that correct?
That's correct.
Nothing further at this time.
And cross.
Ms. Warner, good morning. My name is Corinne Mull. I just have a number of questions for you. You've been sued in this case, is that correct?
There is a civil case.
Okay, there is a civil case, and were you sued in that case? Are you a defendant in that case?
Yes, I was named in that case.
When you say you were named, were you sued in your capacity? Are you a defendant in that?
Yes.
Ms. Taylor, I want to talk to you about the incident in Loretta Brown's household let me strange that, Ms. Lambert's household with regards to marks and bruises. You saw the photographs.
Yes.
Ebony Taylor, the director, saw the photographs.
She was the administrator at the time,
She
but
was the
she saw them as
administrator.
well.
Other people in the office saw them.
Yes.
Ms. Macedon saw them.
Yes.
And did you not make a determination that those marks did not rise to the level of abuse?
The photos that I saw
Yes.
did not.
Did not what?
Did not rise to the level of what we would consider abuse at that time.
Okay. What did you see that did not rise to that level?
I can't remember where they were, but they looked like scratches.
Like scratches? And what did you think about scratches?
Well, what Samantha told me was that they were playing at the playground and they fell. They were scratches.
So is it not true, Ms. Warner, that you also considered that these were healing and or healed marks?
I did not.
You did not look at that?
I did not determine if they were healing or if they were new.
Did you make any notation with regards to the fact that they were healing or healed?
I don't recall at this time.
Now, you wrote a case note in April of 2015 with regards to efforts made to place the children with relatives, correct?
I don't recall, but
Does that sound, would you have done that?
typically my notes would include efforts to place with relatives.
Were there anybody willing to take these children at that time?
Not that I'm aware of.
This fictive kin, the standards are different than from foster parents, correct?
That's correct.
And with fictive kin, home studies do not go through Ms. Odikpo, correct?
That's correct.
And Ms. Odikpo would have nothing to do with fictive kin, correct?
That's correct.
Now, you wrote that Millie in September of 2015 was receiving counseling services through Pathways to address any past trauma experienced as well as to being adjusted in foster care. Do you recall that?
Yes.
And that was in November of 2015, correct?
I'm sorry, did you say September?
September of 2015?
I would have to look at the notes to be sure when I wrote it, but
Let me show you, see if this refreshes your recollection.
okay.
So in September of 2015, the child would have had to have been taken to a counselor, correct?
I'm not sure if that was in home or if they were being taken somewhere.
Okay, so counseling was either done in home or the child would have been taken to the counselor.
Correct.
And so in September 2015, the child was in counseling, at least for a period of time.
Correct.
Now, you also wrote a note that in August of 2015, that the children were doing well and adjusting to living with the Rosenbaums, didn't you?
Yes, and that is from what was reported to me by Samantha White.
Now, you have testified here earlier that with regards to Samantha White, you were not pleased with her follow-up. What did you do about it?
There was a memo given, a memo of concern.
Did you do anything other than that?
Other than work with her to try to assist, that was about it, other than just writing it down saying, hey, these are some concerns that we have.
But you didn't go out with her to see Millie and Layla?
No.
You didn't go out with her to see any of her clients, did you?
No, I did not.
And in fact, you were fired because she was fired, isn't that correct?
I don't
As
know
a
why I was
supervisor.
terminated. I just know it was a result of this case.
Now, while the children were with the Lamberts, there were concerns about Millie getting very upset when she did not get away, correct?
That is what was reported by Samantha.
And that's what you wrote on
Yes,
your
during
note.
the staffing with Samantha.
And Layla had begun to hit and pull hair, correct?
That is what was noted.
And it's fair to say, Ms. Warner, that you feel if it weren't for Ms. White, you would probably still have your job, correct?
No, I don't feel that way.
You don't feel that way. And you're not concerned at all about being a defendant in a lawsuit, in a civil lawsuit.
No.
Thank you, that's all I have.
Incorrect.
Nothing further, Judge.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. You can sit down. Any objections from the speakers?
Nothing stated.
State call next witness.
State called Mary Evans Battle.
You can please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give should be the truth and the whole truth so help you God?
I do.
You can have a seat, and can you please say and spell your first and last name?
First name is Mary, M-A-R-Y. Last name Evans Battle, E-V-A-N-S B-A-T-T-L-E.
And Ms. Evans Battle, how are you employed?
I am an assistant district attorney here in Henry County
And how long have you held that position?
since 1998.
And are there various units in the district attorney's office?
Yes, there are.
And what unit are you assigned to?
I am currently assigned as the accountability court assistant district attorney for the Superior Court, and I also am assigned to the CHINS, which is part of juvenile court.
In 2015, what division or unit were you assigned to with the district attorney's office?
The juvenile division.
And what were your duties as an assistant district attorney in the juvenile division?
I supervised employees. We had another assistant as well as an investigator and two other staff members. And I was responsible for the day in and day out as to their duties.
And as far as being a supervisor in the juvenile court and supervising employees, what types of cases specifically did y'all deal with in juvenile court?
We dealt with anyone under the age of 17 who had committed a delinquent offense, as well as those under the age of 18 who had committed unruly or ungovernable offenses.
When you say a delinquent offense, what does that mean?
In the adult system, it would be a criminal offense. They violated some area of the law.
And the unruly?
It would be mostly, if they're under the age of 18, there are certain offenses that are only committed by juveniles, such as being unruly or disrespectful to their parents or truant from school or things of that nature.
And would those involve having to go to court hearings to deal with either delinquency or unruliness?
Yes.
Okay. And the courtrooms that handle those cases, are they handling any other cases dealing with children?
They handle the dependency cases.
And what are dependency cases?
Those are cases in which the child has been found to be deprived or dependent because the parents have not been able to care for the child.
And who is normally present for those dependency hearings?
There is a special assistant attorney general. There are, defect workers. There are, if there's a cross case between the delinquents, then our office would be in those types of hearings as well. There's the defense attorneys, guardian ad litems that are involved.
Would the children involved in those dependency cases sometimes be present?
Yes.
And what about the parents?
Yes.
And would your delinquency hearings and these dependency hearings, could they be going on around the same time?
Yes.
Would there be times, how did that normally occur if they're going on at the same time?
The schedule would be that one judge is hearing the dependency cases while the other judge is hearing the delinquent cases, and then at a certain time, then they switch to the opposite. The other judge would hear, the dependency, and the other judge would hear the delinquent cases.
So is it possible if you are in the courtroom that you could be present during a dependency case, although it doesn't involve the DA's office?
Yes.
And at those dependency cases, what type of, evidence is being put up?
On the dependency cases?
Yes, ma'am.
There is usually, it depends on what phase of the hearing process that they're in. If it's, for instance, if it's just the 72-hour hearing, the SAG or the Special Assistant Attorney General may be presenting evidence as to why the department is asking for custody of the children, what the deprivation is. Other times it could be, a full hearing where the parent has not, it could be a stipulation where the parent has said, yes, I can't care for the child right now. It's okay for DFACS to have them, or there's some stipulation that's going on. It could be a full trial where the parents are denying that they did anything wrong and making the department prove that it was necessary to remove the kids from their home.
Sometimes with those hearings, if it's a full trial, involve medical testimony.
Yes.
In what instances would there be medical testimony that's being heard during those hearings?
If there were some injury to the child, if there were some indication that the child was ill, if there were any indication that the parents had some illness that would not allow them to care for the child. The other, medical kind of testimony might be if the parents were using drugs or alcohol. Those types of evidence would be introduced as well.
Okay. To your knowledge, were you ever present or present in court during any hearings involving Millie Place and Laila Daniel?
No.
Okay. And as part of your duties as a supervisor in the juvenile unit, did you have occasions to have interns work for you?
Yes.
Okay. And do you recognize the defendants in the courtroom, Jennifer Rosenbaum and Joseph Rosenbaum?
Yes.
And how do you recognize? Let's start with Miss Rosenbaum.
Ms. Rosenbaum was an intern in our office for a period of time.
Do you recall when that internship was?
I want to say that it was during the summer months, I would say from May until August
And of what year was that?
in 2015.
And how did you come to meet the defendant, Jennifer Rosenbaum, and for her to be an intern in your office?
I met her at a function that one of the attorneys gives a get-together, and I met her during that event. I was introduced by Judge Powell, I believe, she was actually an intern in her office. And she was going to be looking for an internship with us or with the DA's office. And so we agreed that she would be a good candidate to be in our office. And when she finished the intern with Judge Brown, it was ready for our office, then she should contact our contact person.
And did that occur?
Yes.
Okay. And is there an interview process that you go through in order to be an intern in your office?
Yes, and normally we would have them to complete an application. We talk with them about the internship. We check their references. It's the usual process. And to be honest with Jennifer, I can't remember if we went through the whole formal side of it. I'm sure she filled out an application. I'm sure she submitted a resume. I know that I did speak with Judge Powell about how her internship had gone with her. And I'm sure she was interviewed with Ms. King, who was our victim advocate that kind of did most of the screening of the interns.
Would it be fair to say some of the things that would normally happen during the application process didn't occur in the case of... If I could clarify.
Okay.
Did she go through the normal process of the application procedure?
I would say not, because we forgot about her, to be honest, that she was going to be coming or making an application. We usually try not to get 2 legal interns in there at the same time, at least in our section, because it is small and we don't necessarily have enough work for them. So we had already given our internship to someone else. When she asked about coming on, I think everybody decided that we felt that we needed to go ahead and try and do 2 legal interns, because of the fact we had promised her that we would hire her when she made the application.
Okay. And what the internship program with your office, what does that entail? Like, what are the interns doing?
They were doing, they would do research. They were reading files, learning about the juvenile process, how it works, how it aligns with other courts. They also, if they're in the 3rd year, under the 3rd Year Practice Act, we get them sworn in so that they can participate in trials as well. They prepare motions and file them, and generally, act as if they were attorney in the office. We also did like for them to go to the other courts to get an idea from actually watching the courts how our court differs than from some of the other ones.
And was Jennifer, has she been sworn in under the 3rd Year Practice Act?
If I recall, yes, she was.
And how would you describe her as an intern?
I thought she was energetic. I thought she was eager to learn. I thought she knew the law, that she worked hard. I thought she was a good intern. She asked questions. She had different ideas. She was motivated to look at things and to make suggestions, and I thought she was a good intern.
And did she have an opportunity to I guess, participate in hearings and trials?
Yes.
And did she have an opportunity to do court observations?
Yes.
How would you describe your relationship with the defendant, Jennifer Rosenbaum?
I thought we had a good relationship. I honestly had hoped that we would. I, at the time, was pretty politically engaged still, and so we shared some common interests in our community, and I like that about Jennifer. So, I was hoping that we would be working towards not a friendship. I don't tend to would maybe not include her in my friend circle, but I would be as a colleague, as someone to mentor and things of that nature.
And were you able to continue that relationship?
No, in the sense that once she left the office, I think I only met with her one time after that, and then I had some things I was dealing with. I was with my family. I was out of town, and so we didn't continue a relationship.
Did she finish out the internship as planned?
I want to say she may have stayed a little bit longer, but she didn't complete it in the normal way we would, because she didn't have an exit interview or any of those things. I believe she left in maybe August, the end of August, I want to say, because I think I met with her like the first week in September, is how I recall it.
Do you recall during the time that she was interning, did you ever have any conversation in regards to her fostering children?
Yes.
Tell me about that conversation.
Well, she had indicated that one of the people that she grew up with and or knew from foster care when she was in foster care, that that person had children that were going through the juvenile court process, the deprivation process, and that person had asked her to foster the children, and that the Department of Family and Children Services were working to get that done.
And did you continue to discuss that process with her at all?
From time to time, as she mentioned it or things happened, we talked about the process that she was visiting with the children, as she started to visit with the children, and that I believe they started overnight visits at some point. We talked about the process when, that's pretty much how we were talking about the process. As they were moving along, we talked about they had to get a home evaluation completed by the department. And that's usually, I believe, done before they have overnight visits. But I think Jennifer may have had an overnight before that happened.
At some point, did you get involved in that process in any way?
Well, I know that they have been going, my understanding, they have been going through the process for a while. And I did write an email to as the attorney, the director, in reference to whether or not they were on track for doing the home evaluation, because it has to take place in a certain period of time.
And I'm going to show you what's been already marked as Exhibit 139, issues evidence. Is that the email that you were speaking of?
Yes, it is.
And what prompted you to send that email?
Jennifer shared some frustration over the length of time that the department was taking in getting her approved. It was my understanding at that time that she was already having overnight visits with the children. And I was on the board for the Department of Family and Children Services also at the time. And we had some discussion about moving kids to more permanent placements. And it was my understanding that she was actually fostering to adopt. So in all of that, with this going on and her frustration, I only asked, about how long they were taking, asking them to, make whatever decision they're going to make, but just move, just asking if they were moving forward.
Okay. And you said your understanding was that they were fostering to adopt.
Yes.
In your, in experience, is there usually a reunification plan in place when there's a foster to adopt scenario? So you still have that?
Yes, you can still have that.
And who indicated to you that this was a foster to adopt plan?
Jennifer did.
After you sent that email, did you ever learn about the girls finally being placed with the Rosenbaums?
Yes.
And did you ever meet the girls?
Yes.
Okay. On one occasion or more?
On more.
Okay. What was the first time that you met with the girls?
I believe the first time I met them, they came to the office. One of the foster parents brought them to Jennifer at the office.
Okay. And did you get a chance to observe the girls?
I did.
Okay. Did you observe any injuries or anything that was concerning when you saw them?
No.
Okay. And you indicated it was more than one time. When's the next time that you saw the girls?
I want to say I saw them, that there was a second time at the office. But I think there was a time that Jennifer actually had to go and pick them up and brought them back to the office. But I can't remember whether or not they were, in the car, or if they were outside the car. But they probably came into the office, but I just can't really remember. But those were the only two times I saw them together at the office.
And did you ever meet the defendant, Joseph Rosenbaum?
Yes.
When did you meet him?
He came to get them from the office.
Once the girls were placed with the defendants, did you ever have any conversation with Jennifer about how things were going?
Just probably general conversation. Maybe, I don't I don't recall anything specific. I know that I talked with her about just to care for them. I had some type of, and I don't know what point this was, but there was something I had gotten that you put out for on the ground if you're away from home for the child to lay them down and change their diaper. I mean, we talked about having something in handy like that, and but more specific, I couldn't tell you.
And you indicated that you saw the girls 2 times in the office. Did you ever see them outside of the office?
I saw them in the back of the car once when Jennifer dropped my daughter off at my home. And I saw them at McDonald's after she stopped working for her office, we had lunch. And I saw them there. Was it McDonald's? Chick-fil-A? I can't even remember the restaurant, but we met for lunch, and they were with her at that time.
Do you recall what month it was?
I want to say it was the first part of September.
And when you saw the girls at that time, did you observe any injuries to them at all?
Millie had, the older one, had a bruise or something right around her eye. But I don't recall if Layla had any injuries.
Did you ask or inquire about that bruise on Millie's eye?
Yes.
And what did you learn about how that occurred?
She indicated that she forgot and didn't have the gate across the top of the stairway, and that she had fallen down the stairs.
Did she indicate to you whether or not she had to seek any medical treatment as a result of that fall down the stairs by Millie?
No.
Was there another occasion, you said an occasion where you saw them in the car when she was dropping your daughter off?
Yes.
Was that before or after this incident in September?
Before.
The time when she was dropping your daughter off, tell me about that and how your daughter came to be with Jennifer Rosenbaum.
My daughter, we were having some issue because she was pre-diabetic, so we're talking about what she's eating and things like that. She seemed to like Jennifer and as well as the other intern. So Jennifer made her a deal that if she did what she was supposed to, was eating correctly, trying to exercise and do some of those things, that she would take her to the movies. So it ended up that Jennifer was able to take her to the movies.
How old is your daughter?
She's 21 now.
What's her name?
Alexis.
And tell me a little bit about Alexis.
She is, she's, can be very humorous. She's really a sweet child. She is 21. She probably looks a lot younger. She is mildly mentally impaired and is a disability, of course, and she has to live with that. So she probably, most people think she's about 12 once they, start talking with her, but she, is older.
And you said that there was an occasion where she went to the movies with Jennifer. Were there other times that she would be with Jennifer or communicate with Jennifer?
I know that she, my daughter, she has a social, part of her disability is the aspect of not being able to pick up on social cues or who's a friend, who's not a friend, those types of things. So she loves children a lot. So she asked about going to Jennifer's, besides the movie, she asked about going to Jennifer, having a birthday party for one of the girls. I'm not sure which one it was. And if she could go and help with the party. And I told her that she could. I actually took her to drop her off at Jennifer's home.
Besides personally hanging out with her, did they communicate, to your knowledge, in any other way?
Yes, there was some text messaging, and when I found out, I told her to stop texting her, but they were texting, because that was a bit much to me. It was a bit inappropriate.
Any other communication that you were aware of between your daughter and the defendant, Jennifer Rosenbaum? Let me ask you this. No. Do you know whether or not they had any social media connections?
I just learned they did.
And what was that?
Instagram.
Okay, no further questions at this time. Thank you.
Hi, Ms. Battle. My name is Kareem Mall. I just have some questions for you. If you can't hear me, if you please let me know if I'm going too slow.
And I am having, my ears are, I'm having a problem hearing, so if you would speak up, I would appreciate it. Thank you.
Definitely. Jennifer's internship with the DA's office was different than that of most other interns, correct?
I don't understand what you mean by the question.
Well, within the first week of her being there, she was called in to Jim Wright's office, the DA's office, isn't that correct?
Yes,
In that meeting, she was told she would have to limit her involvement in politics, correct?
she was told that she had to limit her social media.
And her social media was politically oriented, wasn't it?
Yes,
So it's fair to say that she was told to limit her
I would
involvement.
object, Your Honor, unless she was personally there and was a part of that conversation of that meeting. If she's testifying to things that she heard, I would object to hearsay.
She was there, Your Honor.
I was present in the meeting with her.
So basically, she was told not to make any political social media posts, correct?
Correct.
And by not speaking out at Board of Commissioner meetings, she was asked not to do that, correct?
I don't know that she was specifically asked
You
not
don't
to
remember?
speak out at those meetings.
Do you not remember, or do you recall?
I don't remember that specifically. I remember that she had sent a personal message in a group in which either Mr. Wright was a part of or someone that he knows was a part of that was a political in nature that he disapproved of.
And she was summoned, this was the first time that you had an intern to be summoned to the DA's office in their first week.
I'm not going to, first of all, say it's the first week, but it's the first time that I've ever had an intern summoned in reference to a discipline issue.
And you and Jennifer shared her concerns about the social media policy, didn't you?
Yes,
Because it restricted her speech, is that not correct?
yes,
And during Jennifer's time at the DA's office, she was called back to Mr. Wright's office once again, wasn't she? A second time.
I don't remember her being called back a second time.
Okay. You don't remember him being upset about a social media post that she had posted?
She wasn't in our office then. As far as I can recall, the second post was at the end of her internship. She and I talked about her not returning back to the office, but I don't recall him calling her in again.
She was critical of the district attorney, was she not?
I don't think she was critical specifically of the office. I think she was critical of the policy.
And she was critical of Mr. Wright. She said she wouldn't vote for him. Isn't that correct?
Oh, well, she may have said that. She may have said that.
Were you aware that Jennifer had actually met with Darius Patillo, Mr. Wright's opponent in the case?
I don't know if she told me that or not.
Now, your daughter was permitted to spend unsupervised time with Jennifer, correct?
Yes,
And your daughter indicated she enjoyed her time with Jennifer?
yes,
And you were pleased as a mother that she was receiving some attention from somebody else?
I was pleased that that she felt comfortable, that my daughter felt comfortable enough with Jennifer, yes.
She participated in organizing the birthday party for Millie. Did you go to that party?
No,
But she did, didn't she?
yes,
With regards to the application process, she had to pass a fingerprint background check, didn't she?
yes.
And you talked about seeing Layla or Millie. Are you sure which daughter it is that you saw with a bruise on her face?
Yes.
And which one was that?
I'm sure that's the older child. If Millie is the older child, then I'm sure that that's the child.
Okay, could you in fact be mistaken and it was Layla, the alleged deceased child?
No, because Layla wasn't playing, if I recall. Millie was the one that was able to go and play. Layla was sitting in a chair with us while we talked.
Did you notice any bruising or cuts on her?
No.
Did Millie say anything to you about having a bruise on her face?
No,
Did she complain about Jennifer at all?
no,
You had even considered recommending Jennifer for the board of directors for defects, correct?
yes,
And Jennifer had told you that there were times when she had picked up the children from the Lamberts and the Browns when there were little cuts and scratches and bruises on the children, correct?
yes. From who? From
Miss Lambert or Miss Brown,
Are they the
foster parents.
Oh, no. No, Jennifer talked to me about there being some bruises or cuts, but it was my understanding it was maybe either the mom or the parent, grandparent, or someone had seen. I got the impression that it was one of those people who had seen the children and they were returned to foster parents in that condition. But I know that I did speak with her about, if that's happening, are you reporting it to the Department of Family and Children Services every single time if something like that is happening?
Do you recall talking with an investigator by the name of Ann Tanner?
Yes.
And do you recall telling her that Jennifer and you discussed the fact that the children had bruises when they were picked up from the Lamberts and the Browns?
I don't think in the context of it was from the foster parents, but it may have been, but the whole conversation was not about them occurring, as I feel as if it's being suggested with the Browns or the Lamberts. It was occurring when they've gone off to visit with other family members.
But when she picked them up from the Lamberts
I understand, yes.
and the Browns, they would have marks regardless of where they got them from, correct? You talked about that.
Yes.
Now, you said you saw this bruise on Millie's face. Did you report it to anyone?
No.
Did you email DFACS?
No, I didn't.
Did you call DFACS?
No.
Did you call the police?
No, I didn't.
So you didn't do anything about it, did you?
No.
You have, since there's been an investigation of Jennifer Rosenbaum's time in your office, and isn't it true that you've told DFACS, Ms. Hicks King, that Ms. Rosenbaum, carrying the load she did not appear stressed at all?
I don't think she appeared to me, she appeared as a new person, a new parent who can become frustrated, overwhelmed because they have a lot to do. Jennifer had a lot of things that she was doing, but I didn't think it was so, she didn't just give me the impression that she was frantic about it, I guess.
Let me ask that question again and make sure. Did you report to Ms. Hicks King during the investigation that Ms. Rosenbaum, carrying the load she did not appear stressed?
The words you're using, I don't remember those words. I will tell you today that I would have said that she, based on what I saw, she didn't seem any different from any new mother who had just gotten 2 kids, who was in school and trying to work. I mean, she didn't.
So you're saying you don't recall saying she did not appear stressed?
I don't recall saying that specifically. No.
And the fact that you wrote this email, did that cause you any problem at the office?
After the death of the child,
Yes.
it was concerning, but other than speaking with the prosecutor, the DA at the time, and no, it didn't cause any changes.
It didn't cause any problem with you?
No.
Okay. Thank you. That's all I have at this time.
Just a few follow-up questions. Ms. Evans-Battle, did Jennifer tell you that when she got the kids, I want to make sure I had this right, when she received the kids from the foster parents, they came back with bruises on them?
Yes, she told me that, but she told me in the context, she wasn't saying it as if the foster parents were harming the kids.
Okay.
And I feel like that is what is trying to be portrayed. She was saying that it was someone else, like the parents or grandparents, whoever else was supervised or whoever else was visiting children were maybe doing some harm to the children. And when she got them from the foster parents, that they had those marks or bruises. What I said to Jennifer is make sure that you are notifying the Department of Family and Children's Service, your case manager, that you're taking photographs so that you are not blamed for those types of things.
So did she ever tell you that Ms. Lambert expressed to Jennifer herself concerns about the children being returned to Ms. Lambert with bruises and marks on them when they were in the care of herself and Joseph Rosenbaum?
No.
Did she ever tell
Jennifer
you that?
didn't tell me that.
I'm sorry.
Jennifer did not tell me that.
Did anyone ever tell you that?
Miss Lambert,
Okay.
I believe that is, Miss Lambert is the last person to, my question is Miss Lambert the person who had Millie after this happened?
Yes.
Okay.
So you had conversations with Ms. Lambert about
Yes.
bruises and injuries
Yes.
to the children while they were in the care of the
Yes.
Rosenbaums. And what was that conversation about?
Miss Lambert and I go to the same church. So she just said that she had reported to the department that the children were coming back with bruises and marks on them.
Did Jennifer ever tell you that she had indicated to Ms. Lambert during those conversations about concerns about bruising that defects shouldn't give me a child and not expect him to come back with bruises?
No.
Did Jennifer tell you when she presumably got the kids and they had bruises from the family members that she called defects about that?
No.
That she called the police?
No.
And when you saw that bruise on Millie's face, and are you certain it was Millie?
If she's the older child,
Yes.
yes.
Who told you she fell down the stairs?
Jennifer did.
Where was Millie when Jennifer told you that she fell down the stairs?
She was standing there.
And Ms. Moe asked you about these political posts that defendant Jennifer Rosenbaum was making. And there was more than just one occasion about her making what I guess DA Wright felt was inappropriate posts.
Yes.
Did she continue to post?
I don't recall that she continued to post. She was posting. He had the conversation. She stopped posting. The next time she posted, she was leaving the office.
And when you say she was leaving the office, tell me about how that occurred.
She posted, and I want to say I called her and said, and I don't think she came into the office after the post. And I believe I called her and said, Jennifer, you can't. I saw the post, you can't do that. And she said she wasn't coming back into the office anyway, so it didn't matter.
Was that the first time that you learned that she wasn't planning on coming back into the office?
Yes.
Now, myself nor Eddie Chase or Myrna Andrews, we are not employed by the Henry County DA's office, are we?
No.
Do you know what the process of a recusal is?
Yes.
Okay, tell me a little bit about that.
Well, if the department or if anyone find that they have a conflict of interest in the case, then they are to recuse themselves, which remove themselves from the case so that there's no indication or of anything improper going on. So there's no indicia of propriety.
And did Henry County District Attorney's Office recuse themselves from the case involving Jennifer and Joseph Rosenbaum?
At this time, yes.
Do you know when that recusal occurred?
When?
Yes.
I believe early on when Mr. Patillo took office. This was, yes.
And once a DA's office is recused from a case, what part do they play in any decisions about how that case will be handled?
Oh, none.
Thank you, nothing further.
So you have spoken to Ms. Lambert since this case came to the forefront?
I spoke with Miss Lambert right after. I'm not sure whether or not she had been arrested, but I want to say it was in the early part of December of 2015.
Did she tell you that Millie had said to her that Joseph had hit her on the back? Did she tell you that?
I don't remember.
In
That.
fact, she didn't tell you that, did she?
I don't think we talked any specific. I wouldn't have talked with her any specific because that was just a statement that she made, and I kind of scurry away.
But you did discuss with her what you talked about on direct.
Yes.
So you did talk to Miss Lambert.
Yes.
And she never mentioned to you that Millie had told her Joseph was pounding on her back.
Not that I can recall.
And she didn't tell you that she believed Jennifer was drinking and was hauling the child up by the arm up the stairs, did she?
No.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Anything else?
Nothing further from the state.
Thank you, Ms. Walker. You can just step down. Any objections to it? It's being excused.
Nothing from the state, no.
Okay. This is time for us to take our morning break. We're going to take a 15-minute break, and then we'll resume. Thank you.
Hi, can you please raise your right hand? You swear affirm the testimony you're about to give should be the truth and the whole truth, so help you God.
I do.
Please lower your hand and state and spell your first and last name.
Alexis Battle,
And Alexis, how old are you?
21.
Amen. And Alexis, do you know Jennifer Rosenbaum?
Yes.
And how do you know Jennifer Rosenbaum?
She was an intern at my mom's office.
And when did you meet her?
I don't know when.
Where were you when you met her?
At my mom's office.
And were you and Jennifer Rosenbaum friends?
Yeah.
What type of things would you do?
Just talk.
I'm sorry?
Just talk.
Just talk. And where would you be when you talked?
In the office.
Did you ever talk to her outside of the office?
We text on the phone. That's about it.
Did you ever go anywhere with her?
Mm-hmm.
Where did you go?
We went to the movies, then to Chick-fil-A.
When you went to the movies with Jennifer, was there anyone else there with you?
Mm-hmm.
Who else would be with you?
It was the kids, the other intern, and the person that used to work in my mom's office, daughter.
Do you remember the kids' names?
Layla and Millie.
And what did you guys do when you went to Chick-fil-A?
We watched the movie.
And after watching the movie at Chick-fil-A, where did you go?
Don't remember where we went.
I'm sorry, you got to make sure you speak up.
Can you pull the microphone a little closer to you, please?
Don't remember where we went after Chick-fil-A.
After Chick-fil-A. Besides going to the movies, did you do anything else with Jennifer outside of your mom's office?
I went to the birthday party.
Okay. And I'm going to show you what's being marked as State Exhibit 141. And do you recognize that? You got to say yes.
Yes.
Or no. And what is it?
At the party.
I'd ask that State's Exhibit 141 be admitted into evidence.
Any objection? Admitted. Okay, officer.
And if you look behind you, you'll see State 141. Is this a photograph from the party?
Yes.
Okay. And where are you in that picture?
Right there on the sofa.
Is that you in the blue shirt?
Mm-hmm.
And after the party, or while you were there at the party, did anything happen?
No.
How- Your voice kind
Oh,
of
not
dropped.
that no.
Okay. How long did you stay there at the party?
Until she told the kids that they was going swimming.
Did you go swimming with them at all? Did you ever go back over to her house again?
No.
When you were with Jennifer and the girls, how did she treat the girls?
She was nice to them. Yeah, nice to them.
Did you ever see her yell at them?
When was at the Chick-fil-A? That's about it.
What happened at the Chick-fil-A?
I guess Millie, what's the name? The littlest one wasn't listening or whatever, and then she popped her. That's her.
When you say she popped her, who popped who?
Miss Jennifer popped Lily, with the littlest one name.
Layla.
Yeah, Layla.
Where did she pop Layla at?
On the butt.
What did she pop her with?
Her hand.
Did she pop her once or more than once? I didn't hear you.
Once.
Okay. After that, what did Layla do?
She started crying.
And what did Miss Jennifer do?
Nothing.
I know you said that you would text with Miss Jennifer. Do you have social media?
No, only Snapchat.
Did you have Instagram in 2015?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And were you and Miss Jennifer friends or follow one another on Instagram?
Yeah.
Okay. And did you ever show me what's being marked as Exhibit 142? Do you recognize States 142?
Yes.
And what is it?
A picture of the littlest one
And where is that picture from?
from Instagram.
I'd ask the States Exhibit 142 be admitted into evidence. No objection.
Admitted. 142.
And whose Instagram account was this picture on?
Oh, Miss Jennifer's.
And when you saw this picture, what did you do, if anything?
I texted her and see if she was okay.
And do you remember what day that was? If I show you something, would that help to refresh your recollection as to the date? You gotta say.
Yes.
Do you see the date on there?
Yes.
What was the date?
August the 12th, 2015.
When you sent the message, what did you say?
I just asked her, was she okay and how did she get the bruise?
And when you say a bruise, what bruise were you talking about?
Like on her face.
And if you could, it's a pointer right there, next to you, right there, that with the blue hand. And if you could turn around and point to where the bruise is that you saw.
Under her eye, right there.
Did the defendant, Jennifer Rosenbaum, respond back to you? And what did she tell you?
She said that she fell down the steps.
Okay. Did she mention anything about having to take her to the hospital?
No.
Did she mention anything about her having to get an IV?
No.
Okay. Nothing further, thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Battle. Just a couple of questions. My name's Corinne Mall. If you can't hear me, please let me know. What, you were talking about the back-to-school bash, and that was at Chick-fil-A. And then there was the birthday, right?
Yes.
Those are two separate events.
Yes.
And you say that Jennifer popped her at the Chick-fil-A bash. Were there other people around?
Not that I can
What?
remember. Not that I can remember.
You can't remember? Okay. Do you recall just earlier saying that the picture you were shown, 142, came from the Browns? Is that what you said?
From who?
The Browns?
I don't know anybody named Brown.
Okay, so you did not say that this picture came from the Browns. I'm just checking. Never mind, it's okay. Thank you. I have nothing further.
Just briefly. States 142. Whose Instagram account did you see that picture on?
Miss Jennifer's.
It's Jennifer Rosenbaum.
Yes.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Nothing further from you, Smith.
All right, thank you. You can step down. Minutes for the speech used.
Yes, you may, Your Honor.
Ms. Wong, any reason to retain that witness? No. Okay, she's excused. Thank you. And state call test, please.
State will call Whit Kimball.
Whit? Is it Whit?
Whitney Kimball.
Thank you. Right up here, please. All the way up to the front. Good job.
Can you please raise your right hand? Do you swear to affirm that the testimony you're about to give should be the truth and the whole truth, so help you God? Please lower your hand and have a seat. Can you please state and spell your first and last name?
Whitney Kimball, spelled Whitney, and Kimball, Kimble.
Thank you. And if you can just pull up and make sure you keep your voice up so the court reporter can take it down. Ms. Kimball, do you know the defendants in this case, Jennifer and Joseph Rosenbaum?
I do.
And how do you know them?
I've known them close to 10 years probably now.
And how did you meet?
When I was in 10th grade at a friend's birthday.
And how would you describe your relationship with Jennifer Rosenbaum?
We're basically best friends.
And how long have you been best friends?
Since 2010 probably.
If I may just ask, could we move the podium a little bit to the left, because it's right directly in my view. I can't see it.
Is that something you can do?
Yes, Judge. Actually, I'll just move over. You said in 2010?
Yeah.
And how often would you say that you and Jennifer spoke with one another?
It just varies whether we're busy with work or school.
And in 2015, where were you living?
In McDonough.
About how far did you live away from the defendants?
I lived in Lucas Grove. She lives in McDonough, so it's probably roughly 15 miles.
How often would you see them?
We'd go to church together, so sometimes every Sunday, sometimes if we didn't go to church, it would vary.
And what about Joseph Rosenbaum? When did you meet him?
Probably around 2010 before they got married.
And would y'all often hang out together yourself, Jennifer and Joseph?
Yeah, I'd hang out with Joseph if like Jen was around, but not so much just Joe and me by myself.
And you said this was before they got married.
Yeah,
And were you at their wedding?
I was.
Were you part of the wedding?
I was.
What part did you play?
I was bridesmaid.
And at some point in 2015, did you ever have any conversation with either Jennifer or Joseph about fostering a child?
Yeah, they mentioned that they were looking into fostering.
What exactly did they tell you about fostering?
That they were going through the steps to do the classes and begin fostering children.
And what was it? Did they tell you what the ultimate goal was from fostering?
They wanted to adopt.
And at some point, did Jennifer or Joseph, did you have discussion with them about the process of foster care?
That you had to take some classes.
And who was that conversation with?
Jennifer.
And did she tell you whether or not they were taking classes or they had already taken the classes?
I know that they had taken some classes.
And that information came from Jennifer Rosenbaum.
Correct.
Do you remember when that meeting was? Who did that information come from?
From Jennifer.
Do you recall when that conversation was?
I do not.
Was it in 2012, 2014, 2015? Do you remember the year at all?
It would have been closer to like 2014, I guess.
And at some point, did you ever speak with her in regards to them having children placed in their homes?
Can you repeat the question?
At any point, did you talk to either Jennifer Rosenbaum or Joseph Rosenbaum about having some kids placed in their homes as part of foster care?
Yeah, they said that they were going to have foster kids in their home.
And did you ever go to their home and they had foster kids there?
I did.
Do you remember who those kids were?
Layla and Millie.
Do you remember when you met Layla and Millie?
Sometime late 2014, early 2015.
And where were you when you met Millie and Layla?
I believe I was at their house.
And how often or how many times would you say that you saw Millie and Layla when they were staying with the defendants?
More than 10 times.
And when you would see them, were you ever concerned about the care?
I wasn't.
Did you talk with either of the defendants about where they were in the process and what the next steps were as far as the foster care?
I know that they wanted to adopt, so they were making moves to adopt, I guess.
Do you recall August, let me ask you, during the summer of 2015, would you see the Rosenbaums with Millie and Layla?
I did.
And what would be the occasions in which you saw them?
We would go to church together. I was over at the house. We had a birthday party.
Would there be, when you spoke with Jennifer, would she talk to you about the girls?
Yes.
Would she speak with you about different activities she was doing with the girls?
Yes.
I'm going to show you some marked States Exhibit 143. Well, who is that that's depicted in States 143?
It's Layla and Millie and Jennifer.
And where do they appear to be?
At the house, I'm getting their nails done.
And I'd ask the States Exhibit 143 be amended to evidence.
Admitted 243.
Starting at, you see the top row. Who's depicted in that photograph there?
In the top left,
Yes.
Millie and Jennifer.
Okay. And what is the date of that photograph?
June 27, 2015.
And the next photograph?
Layla,
Okay. And what's the date on that photograph?
June 26, 2015.
That first photograph here.
It's Millie. It says June 29, 2015.
And they look like they're at a nail shop, you said?
They are.
Besides, I guess, going to the nail shop, any other things that Jennifer would talk to you about taking the girls to or doing with them?
She did a lot of community outings with the girls. They went to like fall festivals and just various activities.
And you mentioned a birthday party.
Yes.
Were you there for the birthday party?
I was.
And showing what's been marked as Exhibit 141. Is that the party that you spoke about attending?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And is this, what's depicted in this photograph?
Layla and Jennifer were opening the presents.
And this flower pillow here is, what is that?
The flower color.
Was it one of the gifts?
Oh, yeah. It was one of the gifts.
For who?
For Layla.
At any point in 2015, did you stay for an extended period of time at the Rosenbaum's home?
I did.
And why did you stay at their home?
I had had surgery, so I was staying there for my recovery time
How long did you stay with them?
for about a week.
And during that time that you were staying there, were the girls there?
They were.
And would they be there throughout the day?
They were.
Did they go to daycare while you were staying with them?
Not that I recall.
Who was caring for them?
Jennifer and Joseph, and I was there as well.
How would you describe the care that they were receiving from Jennifer and Joseph?
All their needs were being met.
And when you say their needs, what type of things?
They were being bathed and fed and taken care of.
And who would do the bathing of the girls?
Either Jennifer or Joseph.
And was Layla potty trained?
No.
And if she needed to be changed, who would handle that?
Either Jennifer or Joseph.
Did you ever have occasion to have to change Layla?
I did.
And we're showing you what's been previously marked and admitted into evidence, states exhibit number 45. In states exhibit 45, in changing Layla, did you ever recall seeing this mark here on her stomach?
I did not.
And that would have been, what time period was it that you were staying with the Rosenbaums?
August 2015.
And I'm going to show you what's been marked as states. What types of things, if anything, were you guys doing when you were staying with the Rosenbaums?
We were just watching TV, we made brownies, just spending time at the house.
And did you ever, during that time, ever observe any bruises or injuries or anything on the girls?
Not anything that wasn't from them just like falling down and getting back up.
And when you would see injuries from falling down and getting back up, kind of what parts of their bodies would you see those injuries on?
Like, just like their legs.
Any place else?
There was an occasion where Millie had a bump on her head from like running into a table.
And were you present when she ran into the table?
Yeah, I was staying at the house then.
Was it Millie or Layla?
Layla.
And was she taken to the hospital at all?
She just, again, ran and got back up, so she was good.
Did anyone call DFACS to notify them that she had run into a table and had bruises?
Not to my knowledge.
Did DFACS come out to visit during the time that you were staying with the Rosenbaums in August of 2015?
Not that I remember.
Did they ever have a counselor come out during the time that you were staying with the Rosenbaums?
Not that I remember.
Did Jennifer ever mention that the girls were going to counseling?
Possibly, but I don't really recall.
I'm going to show you what's been marked in State's Exhibit. What's been marked in State's Exhibits 144, 145, 146, 147, 148, and 149. And I'll ask you to look through those and let me know if you recognize them.
Yes, I recognize them.
And do they fairly and accurately depict kind of what was going on during that time?
Yeah.
I'd ask the State's Exhibit 144 through 149 be admitted into evidence.
Admit, in your thoughts.
So the State's 144. Let's start at the top, if you can see it, let me know. What's the date that this photograph was taken?
August 25th.
And what's going on here?
We were making brownies.
And you mentioned the bump on Layla's head. Is that visible in this photograph?
It is.
Okay. And there's a little corner right there. If you could just point out where you're talking about, where you saw that bump on her head. Thank you. And it says exhibit number 146. Can you see the date on there?
June 13th.
I can't hear you.
June 13th, 2015.
And that's Layla and Jennifer in that photograph?
That is.
Are you familiar with the background area there?
It's taken outside their house.
When you say their house, is that the Rosenbaum's house?
The Rosenbaum's house.
And in States Exhibit number 148. What's the date on that?
August 25th.
Okay. Is that the same day y'all were making brownies?
The same day.
And what are you and Layla doing in that picture?
We're blowing kisses.
After you, at some point, did you leave or stop staying with the Rosenbaums and the lights came on back?
Yeah, I eventually went home, yes.
And did you continue to communicate with Jennifer about the girls?
I did.
Did you ever learn about a time when Layla broke her leg?
Yes, I knew she broke her leg.
And how did you learn about her breaking her leg?
I was FaceTiming with her and the girls, and Layla had a cast on.
Let me back up a little bit for you. When you were staying at the Rosenbaums, did you go inside the girls' room and observe them inside their room?
I did.
Did you ever, during the time that you were staying there, observe them jumping on their beds?
Yes.
And did they ever get injured when they were jumping on their bed?
I'm sure that they fell off a time or two. I don't recall.
During that time, were they ever taken to the doctor or to the hospital as a result of falling off?
Not while I was there.
Do you recall them having any injuries or anything from falling off of the bed?
Just basic bumps and bruises.
And back to Layla's leg being broken, how were you informed that she had broken her leg?
When I was FaceTiming her, I saw the cast on her leg.
Did you learn how, or were you told how she had possibly broken her leg?
She got hurt at gymnastics.
Prior to that, had you heard anything about Layla being involved in gymnastics?
Yeah, they were taken to gymnastics a couple times.
And how did you know that?
I had spoken to Jennifer about it.
And would you receive photographs from Jennifer from time to time of the girls?
I did.
What types of photographs would you receive?
And just them doing their activities, like I mentioned, like if they were out at a fall festival or something, like just them out and about.
Did you ever get photographs of them at gymnastics?
I did.
Okay. And who was depicted in those photographs?
The girls were wearing leotards. It's Millie and Layla.
And you're sure it was both of the girls?
I think so.
Did Jennifer tell you anything else about Layla breaking her leg?
Not that I recall.
When you would speak to her, did she ever tell you about, I guess, appointments that the girls had or places that she needed to take them?
I know she took them to the doctor a couple times.
Do you recall her ever talking to you about, let me ask you, when she told you about taking them to the doctor, do you know why she was taking them to the doctor?
Basic checkups, like a cold, certain things like that.
Do you recall her speaking to her about having to take Layla to the hospital to receive an IV in August of 2015?
I don't recall.
If she had told you that, would you?
Speculation, this is speculation.
In regards to the death of Layla, were you, how were you made aware of her death?
I had a friend reach out to me and ask if I knew about the situation going on with Jennifer.
And did you speak to Jennifer or you just spoke with your friend?
Once my friend called me, I reached out to Jennifer.
And did you speak with her?
Yes.
I want to back up just a little bit. When you were staying with the Rosenbaums and caring for the girls, was there ever a time when you had kind of concerns about something going on in potty training?
I wasn't concerned about their well-being.
I'm sorry.
I said I wasn't concerned about their well-being. No.
Did you ever have to buy anything for treatment for issues with one of the girls?
One of the girls had a diaper rash, so I went and got some ointment.
And that was during the course of time that you were staying there?
Correct.
Outside of that, ever had any other occasion to get any medical, I guess, supplies in order to assist with it?
No.
And with that, do you remember which girls had diaper rash?
Layla.
And who would apply the ointment that you purchased? Was it yourself?
I did.
And did Jennifer ever have to apply the ointment, or Joseph have to apply that ointment?
I believe I left later on that day, so I couldn't follow up on it. So.
Was there ever an incident during the time that she had the diaper rash and her having accidents? Potty accidents?
Can you repeat it? I'm sorry.
Was there ever a time when she had this diaper rash where she was having potty accidents as well?
No.
But you were the only person that was treating the diaper rash while you were there.
While I was there, yes.
And while you were there and her diaper needed to be changed, did Jennifer change your diaper?
If her diaper needed to be changed and Jennifer was there, she changed the diaper, yes.
And what about Joseph? Did he change the diaper as well?
He would also change her diaper if she needed changed.
Did you make any suggestions in regards to, besides the ointment, of how to handle, how to treat the diaper rash issue?
I suggested that she not put the diaper back on because it's what caused the rash.
And who did you express that to?
Joseph.
Okay. And what was his response?
He thought it'd be better just to put the diaper back on her in case she used the restroom. So that's all he expressed.
And did you in fact put a diaper back on, or did you leave it off?
No, I said that we should leave it off, so we set her on the couch with the towel.
And what happened when she sat on the couch?
When I left, I think she ended up peeing on the couch.
And do you know who had to clean that up?
Jennifer and Joseph.
And you said when you left at that point, were you leaving for good or just for the day, or were you going?
Yeah, I left back to my house for good.
And I think you said that when your friend called you to let you know that Layla had died, you reached out to Jennifer.
I did.
And did you talk to her about what happened?
I was asking her basically what was going on. Yeah.
And what did she tell you?
That Layla had choked on some chicken.
Did she ever give you any more information about what caused the death of Layla?
No, she was just saying that she had choked on some chicken mostly.
Do you recall speaking with a detective in Detective Strongbow?
I do.
Do you recall telling her what you learned about what ultimately caused the death of Layla?
Yeah, I said that I had heard that it was like her rib punctured her pancreas.
And where did you get that information?
I heard it like on the news or through someone else.
Not through your conversation with
Not through
the
Jennifer.
defendants. Nothing further at this time.
Good afternoon. Ms. Kimball, my name is Corinne Mull. I've got a number of questions I'd like to ask you. You've known Jennifer over 10 years, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you consider yourself to be one of her closest friends.
I do.
And you vacationed with them before?
I have.
You've lived with them before?
I have.
And Jennifer has spent the night at your home,
She has.
so it's fair to say you know her really well.
I do.
And besides being friends, you've also had the opportunity to work with Jennifer.
Yes.
And where did y'all work?
We worked at Banana Republic together.
And when did you work there?
I worked there for 3 years, so between, I guess, 2012 to 2015, roughly.
You all sometimes had shifts together, is that correct?
We did.
And you all enjoyed the time that you were able to work on the same shift?
Yes.
So you made sure to work on that shift?
Yes.
And work is always better with a best friend present, isn't it?
It is.
And in 2015, you worked at Banana Republic. And Jennifer worked there too, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And during the summer of 2015, you both worked there, correct?
Correct.
And she often talked to you about the process of getting the girls and what she was going through, correct?
Correct.
And she was still working at Banana Republic during the process of getting approved for the girls.
She was.
And since she worked at the DA's office during the weekdays, her shifts were on the weekends.
Correct.
You had occasion to work with her on the weekends while she was visiting with Millie and Layla.
I did.
And she talked with you about their visits and what they did.
She did.
And in preparation for this trial, you were asked by me to look back at some of your schedules for Banana Republic.
I did.
Did you have an occasion to do that?
I did.
Okay. During the month of June, were you able to locate a schedule for the week that included June 28th?
I did.
And were you scheduled to work on June 28th?
I was.
Was Jennifer scheduled to work on June 28th?
She was.
And did you work from, what was the time that you worked?
I believe my shift was something like 12:30 to 6 o'clock.
So Jennifer and you both worked that 12:30 to 6 o'clock shift on the 28th of June 2015.
Yes, we did.
You and Jennifer always showed up for your scheduled visits, isn't that true?
We did.
You weren't slackers by any means.
We weren't.
Let's talk a little bit about your observations of Jennifer around the children. tell me, you've seen her around children in general, haven't you?
I have.
And did she treat Millie and Layla any differently than she treated her nephews and nieces?
She didn't know.
Did she treat other children any differently than she treated Millie and Layla?
She didn't.
And how did Millie and Layla react to Jennifer?
They got along great with her. I mean, that's who was like providing for all their needs, so.
But when you say they get along great, how did that manifest itself?
As far as,
Well, what about the children made you believe that they got along great?
oh, I mean, they were openly communicating, hugging her, just talking.
Okay. I want to talk to you just briefly about this incident with the wetting of the couch.
Okay.
Would anybody fly in a rage over the couch being wet?
No,
Anybody get upset over the couch being wet?
no.
Sort of treated it like it was another event in the
It
day.
happened and they cleaned it up.
They cleaned it up. Now, you went shopping with Jennifer a lot for the kids, correct?
Yeah, we spent a couple days going to yard sales and different stores, getting the girls stuff.
I'm going to show you what I've marked as Defendant's Exhibit 90, 91, and 93, and see if you can identify that for us.
Yeah, this is all stuff we got for Layla's birthday party.
At this time, I will tender Defendant's Exhibit 90, 91, 92, and 93 into the record.
Any objection?
No objection, Mark. May I publish it? What is this that you all purchased?
It's a prop for her birthday strawberry shortcake.
Okay, and what did you and Jennifer do anything with this prop?
We used it at her birthday party to take pictures.
Okay. Did you have to change it in any way? Did you have to paint it?
No, we got it from a garage sale from a woman we went to look for stuff for the girls.
Okay. Let me show you Exhibit 91. What is that?
It's like a cornhole toss game.
Who made that?
It was at the the garage sale that we had got.
Did Jennifer have to touch it up, painted it?
Not that I know of.
Let me show you what's been marked as Defendant's Exhibit 92 and ask you what is that?
It's either like a sticker for her birthday, some kind of decoration for her birthday.
Looking at picture number 93, if you would tell me what that's a picture of.
Layla, Millie, and the prop.
You attended the birthday party for Layla, didn't you?
I did. I took the pictures.
And you took the pictures that we're seeing here today.
I did.
And let me show you what has been marked as Defendant's Exhibit 94, 96, 97, 110, 101, 102, 103, and 104, and see if you can identify these pictures for us, if you would.
All of them but one is taken at her birthday.
And which one isn't taken on her birthday?
The one of Millie and her outside with the soccer ball.
I'm sorry. Identified by
Sorry, it is marked 119.
Thank you. At this time, I will tender into evidence Defendant's Exhibit 119, 103, 106, 101, 100, 99, 98, 97, 96, 95, and 94. No objection. May I publish, Your Honor?
Okay.
Tell us, if you would, what is that about?
The girls are playing in the Rosenbaum backyard.
And was that on the birthday or is that on another day?
I think it's on another date.
Okay. And who, which, when you say the girls, which girls do you mean?
Millie, Layla.
We're just going to run through these very quickly. If you would just tell us who is in the picture.
And Jennifer, Millie, and Layla, and I think that's her niece on the floor as well.
Were there many people at this party?
There were.
Adults and children?
There were.
Is this another picture?
Another picture of Jennifer and Layla. Yeah.
Did you go to the Chick-fil-A back-to-school bash with them?
Not that I recall. And then it's Layla, opening her presents. Another photo of Layla opening her present. It's Jennifer and Layla eating birthday cake, it looks like. Millie and Layla playing the cornhole game. A picture of her at her birthday, Layla. They're just outside in the backyard. I'm going to show it different, but Layla, yeah.
And who is she running after?
I can't tell in the photo.
You don't know who it is?
I'm not sure.
And finally,
Layla and the strawberry shortcake.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as Defendant's Exhibit number 108, 109, and 106. And see if you can identify those for us.
Yeah, it's a time that we went to Olive Garden. We went and got our nails done, and then I was hanging out with the girls at the house.
At this time, I attended exhibits number 104, 106, and 107 into the record.
Admitted.
As I may publish them.
Good help.
When is that taken?
Around August 13, 2015.
Do you know who this is with Layla?
That's Alan, who's my ex-boyfriend.
Your ex-boyfriend?
Mm-hmm.
And the girls went with you to Olive Garden?
I did.
Did they eat by themselves or did somebody have to feed them?
I'm not sure if they fed themselves, I just know that they ate.
I'm going to show you what I've marked as Defendant's Exhibit 105. See if you can identify that.
It's Millie, Layla, and the Frozen character. At
The
church.
Frozen character?
Mhm.
At this time, I will tender into evidence Defendant's Exhibit 105. No objection.
Admitted on the front.
May I publish it on there?
Okay.
Is that Elsa or somebody from
Yeah,
Frozen?
Elsa, yeah.
Do you know when that was? Were you with them?
I don't recall like the month, but I know it was taken at church. We were on like a in the movie series.
Okay.
Let me show you what I've marked as Defendant's Exhibit 108, 109, 111, 112, 113, and 114, and see if you can identify those pictures for me.
And it's me, Millie, and Layla, and Jennifer making brownies. And then the 108 is when we went to Olive Garden.
At this time, I would tender into the record Defendant's Exhibit 108, which is stipulated was taken on August 15th, 114 on August 25th, 113 on August 25th, 112 on August 25th, 111 on August 28th, and 109 on August 25th.
Admitted.
May I
May.
tell us what this is a picture of?
Millie about to make the brownies.
How did they move around the house, these two girls? Did they seem at home, or did they were tentative?
It was definitely their house. They felt comfortable.
Who is this looking on? Who is this a picture of?
Jennifer, Millie, and Layla. Millie and Jennifer. Me and Layla.
Who took this picture, do you know?
I did.
You did. Are you a photographer?
I did, yeah.
Tell me about this picture. This was taken where?
Olive Garden.
Okay, on August 15th?
I'm assuming yes.
Was there anything that gave you any cause to be concerned about the safety of these children?
No, I was never concerned about them.
Did you ever have any concern that corporal punishment was being used on them?
No, I never thought any harm was coming to the children.
Thank you, that's all I have at this time.
Anything else?
When Jennifer would be at work, let me ask you, the day that there was the incident in Layla using the bathroom, where was Jennifer?
She was at school at work.
So if Jennifer was at school or at work, who would be caring for the girl?
Joseph.
That's right.
When you went to church, where were the girls?
We would check them into the daycare.
And when they were at the daycare, were they there with kids of the same age or all ages?
I think it was all ages.
And Layla was not fully potty trained, was she?
No, she wasn't.
And so Jennifer would have to leave diapers and pull-ups with the daycare workers,
She would.
and you saw her do this.
I did.
And a few days later, on August 13, you had an opportunity to go get pedicures and manicures with Jennifer and Layla, right? And Millie was not there.
She wasn't.
She was at a visit with her grandmother.
She was.
And Nana told you and Jennifer she couldn't handle both girls and only wanted to take Millie, correct?
She did.
Now, in the pictures we have looked at, have you seen any evidence of any bruising?
Just the one with the bump on her head.
The one that you showed us, the bump on the head. And let's talk about that bump on the head. What exactly did Layla do?
She was running around the house and like ran into the table.
Okay. Into the dining room table?
Yeah.
And did she cry?
I'm sure she did for a second.
Was there any reason to go to the doctor or hospital?
No, she didn't faint or anything. She just bumped her head and continued playing.
Looking at Exhibit 108, did Jennifer discuss with you that Layla had fallen down the stairs only 2 days before this picture was taken?
Yeah, I know she fell down the stairs.
And did she tell you she immediately called her local pediatric
She did. And I believe she discussed it with her neighbor as well.
Excuse me?
I said I believe she discussed it with her neighbor as well, who's a nurse.
Okay. And did she tell you that her nurse, the neighbor who's a nurse, and she made a phone call to CHOA,
I'm not sure what
to Children's Hospital of Atlanta?
I believe that they called.
Okay. So she spoke to not one, not two, but three nurses that day.
That sounds about right.
And you saw Layla 2 days later in this picture.
I did.
Thank you, that's all I have.
Just a couple of questions. You said they went to the church daycare?
They did.
What church is that?
Turning Point
And what days would that be that they went to the church daycare?
on Sundays.
On Sunday when you were having church, so kind of like Sunday school?
Yeah, but during church, so not like before church.
Yeah, yeah, but it was on
On Sunday, during
on
church.
Sunday. And Jennifer ever expressed to you concerns about the girls coming back with marks on them when they went to go visit their grandma, their great grandma?
Not that I recall.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. You can step down. Any objection to this witness, please?